let's talk about problems with ketosis, because some people have an easy time with ketosis, and there is quite a number of people that struggle to get into ketosis, stay in ketosis, and they don't feel their best when they are in ketosis and ultimately end up quitting. Welcome back to my channel. I am Sylvia. I'm a carnivore diet coach and a big city mom. So the biggest and the most frequent complaint about ketosis is that it affects people's ability to sleep. And that wasn't my experience at first with ketosis, because I've been doing the diet of going into ketosis for quite a few months and then leaving and coming back. I've done it for the last 5 years, and in the beginning it wasn't an issue, and I've done ketosis many times for different reasons. And this year I went back to doing straight paleo-ketogenic diet with ketosis over 2. That's the expectation of the diet. And 3 months into it, I stopped sleeping. The same thing started happening to me that was happening to other people. My tentative conclusion is that probably age has to do something with it, or I just got so much better at managing my ketosis and being in ketosis than ever before that I go into ketosis and it goes high very quickly. Now, from the blood ketometer that I was using to track my progress, I took about a week and a half to get into ketosis over 1.5, and my sleep was okay. Then I got to 2, that was still good. But then as I continued, 2.5, almost 3, then 3.2, 3.5, I stopped sleeping. Well, it wasn't completely that I stopped sleeping, but I would be able to go to sleep at 11 p.m. Before I used to go to sleep at 9 p.m., sleep till 3 or 4, and then be completely rested and ready for a marathon at 4 a.m. in the morning. And then my window of sleep compressed even more. I was going to sleep at 11 and waking up at 2 or 3 and like fully energized, ready to run a marathon, so I wasn't able to go back to sleep. And it's all fine and dandy until the next day, noon, where I was at work and I really needed to take that nap, but I couldn't. So this isn't very practical if you have a day job. So for quite a few weeks I was in ketosis over 2.8, and I started adding a little bit of honey to bring down my ketosis, and when it got to 1.5 I was able to sleep again. Then at some point I went down below 1, I was like 0.9, and then my sleep normalized completely. So if I'm in ketosis, it's 6 hours of sleep. Perfect. My sleep is efficient. I have enough energy. I don't need to nap during the day. But if I sleep less than 5 hours, forget it. This is not good for me. I can get through the day, but I do feel like I'm a crazy person. Heart palpitations are another common issue with ketosis, and typically they occur only in the beginning. A couple of weeks of transitioning into ketosis, when you're losing a lot of water, when you dump a lot of electrolytes, you might experience heart palpitations, or at very minimum, like you become more aware of your heart. And that usually goes away, especially if you add some extra water, you add some electrolytes to it, problems solved. But there are some people for whom the issues with heart palpitations will continue past the transition period, and it will be quite uncomfortable for them. I had the experience with quite severe palpitations once, and that was because I got so dehydrated. The palpitations were so strong that I actually was considering that I might be having a heart attack. But I drank lots of water, I added double the dose of electrolytes, and it all normalized within 20 minutes. But if you continue having issues with your heart palpitations while being in ketosis, extra water doesn't work, extra salt doesn't work, extra electrolytes don't work, and you continue feeling uncomfortable, then it is time to see if you can cycle in and out of ketosis, reduce the ketosis level, or just give it a break and then just see if everything normalizes, and then try to get back into ketosis gradually. Thirst is another unpleasant symptom of being in ketosis. For the most part, it occurs in the beginning of your ketosis, especially during the transition, because you will be dumping so much water after you stop eating carbohydrates, that there will be depletion of sodium, potassium, and so on. So you will feel more thirst, and that usually normalizes after 2 to 3, tops 4 weeks. But in some cases, people continue to be very thirsty past that stage, and it seems like they don't do as well on ketosis as they would like to. That this being thirsty all the time really bothers them. And adding electrolytes doesn't really solve the problem. And again, the same tip would be just try to lower your ketosis first, see if you can handle it around 1 to 1.5. And then if this doesn't help, then probably cycling in and out of ketosis might take care of it. Or if you experience other unpleasant side effects from ketosis, then perhaps taking a break from ketosis is a right solution for you. Let's talk about muscle cramps, because they also happen. Again, most of the times in the early stages of ketosis during the transition period, because oftentimes we just forget to drink enough water, or we just need more electrolytes, and salt in water doesn't always take care of it. So adding of electrolytes usually takes care of the problem, but some people, mostly elderly ones, or those that are really physically active, continue having muscle cramps past the transition period. Again, you have to weigh pluses and minuses of being in ketosis. If your fitness, if your muscles conditioning is more important than being in ketosis, then probably lower your ketosis or cycle in and out of ketosis. Or if you are in the period where you are working out extensively, just drop the ketosis, increase your protein intake, stay consistent with the carnivore diet, but just prioritize proteins versus fat. And how many of you feel dizzy when going into ketosis? Again, typically it is a symptom of transition, and it is also related to the dumping of water. Your kidneys working extra hard and binding all the sodium in order to get rid of all the water that we use for the carbohydrate metabolism, and that usually finishes within 2 to 3, 4 weeks maximum, and then everything goes well. But if you continue having palpitations, heart palpitations, usually dizziness follows as well. So these two unpleasant symptoms tend to go together. So sometimes it looks like this, that you'll have heart palpitation and shortly after there is dizziness, or you walk up a flight of stairs and your heart starts pumping a lot harder, and then right after you feel lightheaded and dizzy. Try adding extra water, try extra electrolyte. If that doesn't work, add some honey to reduce your ketosis. And if you still feel dizzy, this is not something that you want to continue, you should get out of ketosis. And last but not least, let's talk about changes to the menstrual cycle, because it does affect some of my female clients, and it happened to me as well. I don't think ketosis alone are the ones to be blamed for the changes to the female hormones. I think it is the weight loss that follows the extended period of ketosis. So as I mentioned, this year I started back on strict PKD, and my weight loss was insane. I'm 5'8", and at some point my weight was 125 pounds. And at that point, I stopped ovulating and I stopped having my period. And then I added some carbs. I gained 2 pounds within a day and a half. I ovulated right away, and a few days later I had my period. So I think when your weight drops too low, this is when your menstrual cycle gets affected. I had clients that were staying on PKD for a really long time, and they would notice as well that the cycle would get extended, and when they had their period, it was more like spotting rather than the proper period. So if this is happening to you, then it is a time to adjust amount of fat and proteins that you are eating. Like if you are committed to ketosis and you are continuously in ketosis over 2, and you start noticing that your cycle is going out of whack, listen to your body, do the right thing, lower your ketosis. If this doesn't work, add some carbs, eat honey, eat some fruit, get your period back, get your cycle as regular as you can get, and then if you need to go back into ketosis, do it again. Perhaps the answer for you is again cycling in and out of ketosis and not allowing ketosis to go too high. And while we are talking about a menstrual cycle, I want to share this message with the ladies that are looking to optimize their fertility with a carnivore diet and maybe considering ketosis. I would not recommend ketosis if you want to optimize your fertility and you are looking to get pregnant within a few months. Prioritize proteins, animal foods, animal fats, but don't eat too much fat as to curb your appetite too much, because you will lose a lot of weight. This can in turn affect your period, your menstrual cycle, and you can impact your fertility negatively this way. So if you are done with kids and you want to take this risk, have at it. But I have a lot of women that watch me looking to get pregnant, looking to optimize their fertility. Do not do ketosis. Don't stay long-term with ketosis. You probably are better off with having high protein diet with all the fats that naturally comes with the red meat. Even some carbohydrate, I would say, will be beneficial because you're signaling to your body that you are in the period of abundance and there's a lot of food to go around. It is safe to get pregnant. I think that is a very good messaging to your body if you're looking to get pregnant. And if you have extra pound of 2, that's okay. It is conducive to fertility, to becoming a mother. Just embrace it. There are many benefits to being in ketosis. I love ketosis myself, but there are pluses and minuses. Depending on your condition, you might have to play with ketosis. How high your ketosis should be may be individual to you. Now, I know on the paleo-ketogenic diet, you are expected to stay in the continuous ketosis over 2. But working with people, I noticed that some really struggle, and they are better off if they reduce their ketosis and add some more proteins. So if this is you, don't beat yourself up. Maybe high ketosis isn't ideal for you, especially if your sleep gets affected, your menstrual cycle gets messed up. Just go along with what your body is telling you. Yes, there are certain parameters for many different diets, but ultimately you are in charge of your own body and you have to listen what it tells you. Another thing is, especially if you have a chronic disease, what is most important that you accept certain trade-offs. So I would say, if you have cancer, if you have a bad case of autoimmunity, perhaps dealing with less sleep, but having those anti-inflammatory pathways opened, as it happens with being in ketosis for a long time, maybe that is a trade-off you are willing to accept. But if you want to have just optimal health and you're going into ketosis for this reason and there's not much else going on with your body, perhaps you should ease on that, and then just perhaps at that point, rather than being ketosis, it is more important that you sleep well or have a regular cycle. Alright, so this will do it for this week's video. If you haven't yet subscribed, hit that notification bell. If you're looking to get coached by me, the links are in the description box. I will also attach some links to relevant videos. And forward this video to anybody that you think can benefit from considering or changing their attitude about ketosis. Bye!